Hello, guys. Hello. This is Pinkie, the housewife, and I'm coming back to you all today with breaking news, updated news. I just got back from physical therapy, so I couldn't give it to you until I get home. Okay, got home. So to today is still the first Tuesday. We did a live this morning, hoping, and I was hoping maybe a verdict. They didn't do one on Monday. They did deliberations for the jury, which they deliberated in their little small room or whatever. They didn't come out with a verdict. So today I was hoping they had one, and today, still this morning, doing my live, no verdict. Okay, I only did 2 hours, and I said I was out of there. So today, while I was at physical therapy, they got a verdict. But let me tell you the conditions of this verdict, okay? Let me just get the house rules out of the way first. Um, Let me just say, welcome to the Pink House, everybody. I know I look terrible because this is what I had on at physical therapy. I wanted to come home and take a shower, but I couldn't, so this is what I got on. Make sure y'all go ahead and hit that like button coming in. I need you to do that so we can get on with what we need to get on to. Subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed. Let me tell you, thank you for doing so. I'm going to go ahead and put up graphic content warning, just in case if anybody get triggered. Okay. Um, we was on the last part of this little border here. This was the process of the United States versus Sean Combs. We have went through everything across the top. We was at the bottom down here. Yesterday, we started at the jury charges in deliberation. They went in to deliberate. Hopefully, I was hoping we get a verdict before. I even stayed as long as I could. I even stayed over 5 hours, I think, and still no verdict. So today, went in to my live, hoping we get a verdict this morning. Still no verdict when I got off after 2 hours. I said I was out of here. Okay. Now let me just tell you, we had these 5 counts, right? 5 federal charges. 1 count of racketeering and conspiracy. 2 counts of sex trafficking. 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution. Okay. Now, I'm going to keep pulling this up. We're not going to forget about that. This is what Diddy had on his team, his big dream team. Okay. He had all of these people on his team, 4 women, 4 men, 8 of them. Okay. So this morning I came in with this breaking live. Crowd growing while waiting on the verdict. It was getting busy out there in New York. So now I got Diddy trial, the verdict. Either he's guilty or not guilty. That's the question tonight. Okay. So before we get started, let me go ahead and before we get started, this is what happened. The jury has reached a verdict in 4 out of 5 counts in the Sean Diddy Combs criminal trial, the Diddler's trial. Now, this is what you should know about that. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and give you what you should know. Then also, we're going to hear a little bit from TMZ. You know what TMZ got it. You know it got to be something. Okay. Okay, so guilty or not guilty. Let me just say hi to everybody. Cecily Bonnie, thank you for coming in. K Cloud 43, good evening, everyone. one. Thank you for coming in. Sizzling Bunny. Miss Pinkie, looks and sounds good as usual. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for letting me know. I needed to know whether my audio sounded good. Thank you. See, that's how I like it to go. Just let me know whether that audio is good right off the bat. Ain't no sense in me talking and the audio is jacked up. Hi, Terry. Thank you for getting in here, Terry, to hear what's going on. I hope you're well. I hit the like button coming in. Thank you, Terry. Thank you. See, I like that. I like that. Y'all know how to do it. Y'all know what you be doing. But anyway, let me get on with this here. Okay. They reached a verdict 4 out of the 5 counts. And remember, I said we had 5 counts. So they reached a verdict 4 out of the 5. 4 out of the 5. Okay. So 4 out of the 5. At least it's better than 1 out of the 5. 2 out of the 5. I tell you, I've been passed out. Okay, Diddy, we're getting ready to talk about the Diddy here. Okay, so we're getting ready to talk about the Diddy. All right. So Diddy, we're getting ready to talk about you right now. So, the federal jury in the Sean Diddy Combs trial reached a verdict in 4 of the 5 counts today, after deliberating for roughly 12 and a half hours. And how they got to 12 and a half hours, remember, they did deliberate some yesterday. And then today, they deliberated all day yesterday. I think when it got 3 o'clock, I was out of here today. Okay. The jury sent a note to the judge saying that they did not reach a verdict, count 1, which is racketeering. Let me just put it back up. The racketeering was verdict 1. Out of count 1, racketeering was the one that they had the issues with. That's the one that they could not reach a verdict on. But they did reach a verdict on the other 4. Okay. Let me get back down to it. Which is racketeering conspiracy that carries the heaviest penalty. I mean, it carries a lot of weight. It wasn't like the other one. You put this one on your back, you're going to fall to the ground, Diddy. With a minimum sentence of life in prison. Now, let me just say this one thing. When Diddy was heading out of the courtroom, when Diddy was heading out, well, not heading out, should I say, but Diddy did, what is this in my pocket? Diddy did whisper to his family, turned around, and made eye contact with him and said, and it's not like I'm talking, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, give a indication that he'll be okay. He'll be okay. Now, I don't know what that means, he'll be okay. Don't ask me. He'll be okay, though. I don't know what that means. Don't ask me. I'm not the Diddy. Okay? The judge instructed the jury to continue deliberating. The jury sent a note advising it will continue deliberating tomorrow. So they're supposed to be back tomorrow, which is Wednesday, on that last count, which carries the heaviest penalty, which is racketeering conspiracy, because that carries a maximum sentence of life in prison. Now, I'm not saying the other ones ain't heavy enough, but they ain't nothing like racketeering conspiracy. You put that on your back, you're going to fall down. He probably fall down in the courtroom if they mention that one. Okay. More notes from the jury. But I just put it this way. I think Diddy is a done turkey. I think that turkey is done. Okay. We're gonna let other people, expert opinions on this. Okay. We're gonna do that tonight. Because I'm not gonna be up here all day tonight. Okay. All right, let's go. These are more notes from the jury. Court began today with the jury sending more notes to the judge. The latest was a note asking for several transcript sections, including Kathy Venturi's testimony regarding the intercontinental incident. You know, the incident at the hotel where he can't come and running around with the towel around him, grabbed her by the hoodie in the hair and just swings her to the ground like he was swinging a rag doll. The prosecution and the defense attorney went back and forth on disagreement about what testimony, excerpts and responses to the jury's request about the hotel incident. But ultimately, the judge ruled that the jury would get the transcript for Cassie's testimony about the days before and after the intercontinental incident, the hotel incident, over an objection from prosecution. The judge also ruled that the jury would receive Cassie's testimony regarding her Instagram post in response to the release of the intercontinental surveillance video. So they really want to know about that beating at that hotel. They really want to know. They want to put all the pieces together, in my opinion, about the hotel video. All the pieces. That's what they wanting. Diddy, let me just put you back up here. I don't know how you got down. But anyway, that's what they want. All right. Now, during a meeting with the defense and the prosecution before the end of the court, the judge agreed to hold off on proposing scheduling scenarios to the jury should deliberations continue past tomorrow. Both the defense and the prosecution agree that they're open to allowing the jury to deliberate on Thursday if the panel chooses to do so, even though the courthouse is closed. The courthouse is closed on Thursday. Isn't that the 4th? Let me just see, guys. Oh, I'm looking at June. Thursday is the 3rd. The 4th is the 4th. So the courthouse on Thursday, if the panel choose to do so. So even though the courthouse is closed, so the courthouse is supposed to be closed on Thursday. I guess that's the day before the 4th of July. Okay. But they're willing to let them, the prosecution and the defense is willing, and the judge is willing to let them go ahead, although the courthouse is going to be closed. The judge and the parties are not considering Friday because of the 4th of July. So on Friday, no, they can deliberate up until Thursday, but not on Friday because that's the 4th of July, guys. So if the jury declined to deliberate on Thursday, they'll have to return Monday. So if they don't want to deliberate on Thursday, they can't do it on Friday because that's the 4th of July. They can't do it on Saturday or Sunday. So that means they will come back on Monday. And that Monday is July the 7th. Do we want this thing to go out past the 4th of July? No, but it's not our choice, okay? Now, family focus. Court today began and ended with the interaction between Combs and his mother. Before leaving the courtroom with marshals this morning, while the court adjourned, Combs stopped to talk to his mother, Janice Combs. He told her this morning to relax and that it's going to be all right. He said, told his mom it's going to be all right. Then, after the jury was dismissed for the day, in the afternoon, and before Combs left the courtroom, he reiterated to his mother that he'll be all right, and also whispered to his 6 adult children seated in the second row behind him. Okay. All right. That's it for that. Now, what I'm going to go ahead and do, we're going to, guys, what we're getting ready to do is listen to, first of all, we're going to listen to TMZ. We're going to listen to Harvey first. Okay? We're going to listen to Harvey first. And y'all know I can't just put Harvey up there like that, because I'm going to have to put a screen over Harvey. Y'all know that. So that's what I'm going to do. Let me get it all ready for you. Because Harvey ain't going to be coming after me from TMZ. Because I watch TMZ. I think I'm even subscribed to him too. I think I am. So I know better. I ain't no fool for nobody. Okay? But I want you to hear what Harvey got to say. Okay, here we go, Harvey Levin. This is today, guys. And let me, no, I don't want to do that. I can do the Diddy thing, because the Diddy is in the detention center right now. No, I don't do that. I'll just do it like this. I just do like this. Let me just see something. I'm trying to I like that. That gives Harvey a smaller space. No, y'all just work with me on this. I'm just trying to find a solution to the problem here. Okay, I'll just do it like that. I wish I could slide him over, but I can't. So since I can't slide him over, I'll just do it like this. Okay. Okay. So here we go, guys. I'm going to go ahead and play it. And please, somebody, put a 1 in the chat if you can hear it. And don't give me no 10 and 20 minutes later and put a 1 in the chat telling me you can hear it. Tell me right away so I know. Here we go. I don't like that one. Yeah, I'll just leave it up.
Really any question. The loser today is Diddy. The jury has come back with unanimous verdicts on 4 of the 5 counts. They are hung up on racketeering, but they have reached verdicts on sex trafficking as it relates to Cassie, sex trafficking as it relates to Jane, the Mann Act as it relates to Cassie, and the Mann Act as it relates to Jane. The judge has sent the jury back and said, continue deliberating. They have now recessed for the day. They're coming back tomorrow. And in a minute, I'm going to tell you about why I believe this jury is probably going to come back tomorrow. And let me just first break down why I think this is bad news for Diddy. The Mann Act is easy. It is the transportation of a sex worker across state lines for commercial purposes, prostitution. I mean, I don't see how the prosecution did not prove that. And the fact that the jury came back this quickly, it tells me, look, I don't know, but it seems like he's cooked on those two. As for sex trafficking, we have to look at Cassie and Jane separately. To prove sex trafficking, you have to show that Diddy committed these acts using fraud, force, or coercion. It's interesting as to Cassie. The jury wanted to hear about a trip to Cannes. They wanted the transcript, and this is where Cassie and Diddy flew back from Cannes to New York. On the plane, Diddy showed Cassie a freak-off video that she was on, and he said, according to her, if you don't engage in a freak-off with me when we land in New York, I'm going to show this to your mother and release it publicly. If the jury believes that, that's it. It's coercion. And it's interesting, they honed in on that during their deliberation. Now, they could go either way, but that was, I thought, all along, the most direct evidence of coercion, if you believe Cassie. And I think he's in trouble there. As to Jane, I think there's more of an issue of consent. And they did not ask for transcripts as to Jane. So I don't know. I think on the Mann Act, he's in big trouble. I think as to sex trafficking with respect to Cassie, he's in trouble. I don't know about Jane. But either way, there is a significant prison term on the table if he's convicted. As for racketeering, here's the way I see it, because I've told you guys now from the beginning, I've always had an issue with this, that this is not organized crime, it's disorganized crime. And it's not typically what racketeering is used for. So the jury said they were split, and it's not 11-1. There are multiples on both sides. And they said, we're dug in. The judge said, go back in and try. So if they're just directly following the jury instructions as to racketeering, they need to find two independent criminal acts. I mean, if they find him guilty on the Mann Act, and I'm guessing they did, well, there are the two acts. Yet, they're hung up on racketeering. What that tells me is it's kind of square peg, round hole for a lot of these jurors, or two of the jurors, multiples, whatever the number is, that they're just not seeing this as racketeering. So that's my opinion about it. Now the question, how do they resolve it? So they're going to go back in tomorrow and know that they are up against a 4-day holiday, that the courts are closed on Thursday, the federal courts. The judge will open the courtroom if the jury hasn't reached a verdict on Wednesday. They could deliberate Thursday. It's not always the case, but jurors somehow miraculously reach a decision when it comes to butting up against a 4-day holiday. It just happens. They don't want it held over their heads for the weekend, for a long weekend. So that's one possibility, that they just all come together. Maybe the more likely possibility is they come back tomorrow, I don't know, at 11 or noon, and they say to the judge, we are so deadlocked, we cannot reach a verdict. The judge could then say, it's called the Allen charge, which is where he gently badgers them to reach a verdict. He could do that, but my guess is if they don't come in by the end of the day tomorrow, and they come back toward the end of the day and say, we're just hopelessly deadlocked, the judge will read the 4 verdicts where they were unanimous and declare a mistrial as to racketeering. If that happens and he's found guilty on 3 or 4 of the other counts, my guess is they won't retry him on racketeering. But we will see. I don't think it's good news for Diddy. When court was over today, knowing that they reached a verdict on 4 counts, he turned to his family in the gallery and kind of whispered to them, I'll be okay. I mean, you could take that either way, but the way I take it is, if he ends up in prison, he'll be okay, and try to reassure them. So bottom line, I think Diddy is going to be found guilty, and that's just my guess. I don't know it, but just based on the pieces, I think the Mann Act is going to be tough for him to overcome. We will see about racketeering. My gut tells me it's going to be a hung jury. Again, I don't know, but it does not seem like it's good news for Diddy.
A family grieving tonight after they say a young woman.
Okay, guys. Hoo. Let me take this down. So, what do you all think of that? That was something. Okay. Like I told you, it came straight from Harvey. Harvey. Harvey told you. Harvey and told you. So I ain't got nothing to say when Harvey tell you. Okay, I got one more. I got another video for you. Okay. That's Harvey. Harvey and told you. Okay. Harvey said, I and told you. Okay, y'all ready? This is Law and Crime Network. Law and Crime Network. I'm trying to pause it. Okay. It's breaking. P. Diddy jury reacts. Shocking. Partial verdict in SEX trafficking trial. Okay. All of this stuff is today. Ooh. I just want to make sure y'all know a verdict came back. But what we're going to do for tomorrow, just in case there is a complete verdict, we're going to do a watch party here in the Pink House. We're going to be watching it together. And y'all make sure y'all have your popcorn. It may be kind of early, but have it ready anyway. Or have yourself a banana. Have yourself some juice. Even in your HEB cup. If you ain't got that, get a regular cup. There's a letter P on this cup. You can't see it. You can barely see it. See? Okay. Have whatever you need. You don't have time to be getting up. Have your lotion ready. Okay? Have your lip gloss ready. Any medication that you got, have it ready. We ain't got time. If you're nervous, get yourself a widget and just start spinning it. What? And just do this here. Have your water ready. Okay? And now, if you want some baby oil on your arms and hands, you can do that too. Or you can have some baby oil. So if it don't go the way you want to, take this baby oil and just throw it and hit something. But make sure, if I was you, I probably would tape that top down really good so it won't come out unless you want it to come out. Okay? Or you can have a little tub or a pail below you and put your feet in some baby oil and soak those rusty toes. I don't have rusty toes. I got some pretty feet, guys. I got some pretty feet. Oh, I ain't going to show y'all all that, though. But anyway, let's go ahead and listen to this other, okay? Let's go ahead and do that. Because I don't have time for all of this. Okay, this is our Law and Crime Network. Y'all know that. So here we go. Because like I said, I ain't going to be on here too long because I want to go take a shower. I just come from physical therapy and I'm in pain. So here we go, guys. This is not that long either. Let me go ahead and make it large for y'all. Y'all know how I do things. Uh-oh. Oh, Lord, I forgot to put it up here. Girl, you going off talking without me putting it up here. Verdict watch time was 13:11. Oh Lord, here we go.
For you one last time, there is an update. Judge Arun Submaranian says that we have reached a verdict. The jury has reached a verdict on counts 2, 3, 4, and 5. Unable to reach a verdict on count 1, as we have jurors on each side. How should we respond? Philip Dubé, I'm going to throw to you right away. What does that mean for count 1? Is that a hung jury?
It means a couple of, yes, absolutely. It means they are deadlocked. They're not unanimous. But under the federal rules of criminal procedure, the court can accept the partial verdict and make them resume deliberations on that outstanding count. And if they still are deadlocked, the court can give them what's called a dynamite charge and basically encourage them to listen to one another, go back, re-review the evidence, don't have fixed views about it, keep an open mind, yada, yada, yada. And if after that they cannot reach a verdict, the court can declare a mistrial on the hung count. And depending on the split, the U.S. Attorney's Office will decide if they will retry him on that count. My gut says that it is guilty on all those counts and they're hung on the RICO charge.
Mm-hmm.
Whew, this is heavy. This potential verdict on 4 of the 5 counts. I do have another update before I go to Adante. This is Maureen Comey, Assistant U.S. Attorney. She says, we are preparing a modified Allen charge. Mark Agnifilo says, we propose you tell them to continue deliberating and that you not take the partial verdict. No modified Allen charge. Now, the judge says, would the defense request I bring the jury out to say that? Okay, ongoing. Agnifilo says, after conferring with Combs, he says, yes. So here's what the judge says. He says, okay, email me your proposals, each side. I'll wait. I could give a modified Allen charge, or at some point, I could tell them they could return a partial verdict. Email me, I'll wait. Okay, a lot to digest. Can you explain to me the Allen charge situation, Adante?
Sure. The Allen charge is, as I mentioned before, that's an admonishment from the judge telling the jury to continue to deliberate, encouraging them to continue to engage in the process, and essentially putting more pressure on the jury to resolve the differences between them. However, as was mentioned by your other guest, you know, if the jury comes back after going back in and deliberating more, and they say, hey, we just cannot resolve this final charge, then the judge will probably let them go and accept this verdict, i.e. The hung jury charge, to declare a mistrial on that charge, and then accept the verdict on the remaining charges. And I agree. I think that if you really look at the questions the jury asked around what is distribution? Does it have to include so on and so forth, paying for it and doing things like that? And then they then ask for the trial transcripts of particular witnesses, right? Then after those witnesses they received those transcripts, now we're getting this in from the jury, right? Saying, hey, we've resolved whatever issues and conflicts there were on some of these charges. And the RICO charge, which to me, and I think many people felt was more convoluted and more of a reach just by normal logic and how we think about RICO. And then the large and lengthy voluminous charge and subparts to it could be confusing, as was mentioned, to a judge, a lawyer, and much less an everyday ordinary citizen who doesn't deal with the law. So that's not surprising that it's hung on the RICO charge. And I'm sure that's also why Diddy is sitting there holding his breath, because he certainly asked his attorneys, what does this mean?
I mean, we talked about this back before we knew that the verdict was in for majority of these, that all P. Diddy, Sean Combs, was doing was staring at the little note in front of him. And I agree, that is very telling. There is now a verdict on counts 2, 3, 4, 5. The one that is a potential deadlock is one that is racketeering conspiracy involving Cassie. So we're going to go through the verdict form in a minute, but I just have to ask once again, Philip Dubé, what are your thoughts about this one? The fact that it's the racketeering conspiracy with Cassie. What does all of that mean?
Well, the bottom line is that the prosecution has to prove that he was running an enterprise with a pattern, if you will, of criminality. And there is basically a laundry list of various crimes. And the jury does not have to be unanimous on those predicate type crimes that were being run under the whole Combs enterprise. They do not even have to agree unanimously, and they don't even have to prove each predicate crime or predicate act beyond a reasonable doubt. And it could be that some of the jurors just feel that none of those predicate acts were effectuated in any way, shape, or form by force, fraud, or coercion. And that is ultimately the heart of it. That's what makes it so criminal, you know, that basically somebody is acting with like a mob boss mentality, forcing people oppressively to work within the organization by force, fraud, or coercion. And it sounds like one or more juror feels that there was no such aspect to it. And that's just a guess. I'm only going by sort of reading the tea leaves, if you will, based on the fact that they have reached a verdict on the subordinate counts. And it remains to be seen if I'm accurate, but that's just a guess.
And again, let's remind everyone, we know there's a verdict at least partially here. We still don't know what that verdict is. So this is a great time to segue into looking at that verdict form, specifically because Philip was just talking about those predicate charges. So let's bring it up now. I believe that we have it. And let's start with number one, which is debatably right now the most important one that we have. This is racketeering conspiracy. Okay, so right at the top, how do you find the defendant? Not guilty or guilty? This is a question mark right now because according to the juror note, some think guilty, some think not guilty. That's kind of the split that is happening right now. And this is to the predicate acts that Philip was just talking about there. If and only if you find the defendant guilty of count one, which types of racketeering acts do you unanimously find were involved in the offense? So acts involving kidnapping, which of course would involve Capricorn Clark on the instance when the jewelry went missing and she was allegedly taken to do that lie detector test. Or for instance, when she says she was taken and kidnapped, involved in the Kid Cudi arson, the Porsche blowing up. Is this proven or not proven? Or rather it reads not proved, proved. Acts involving arson. Of course, we're talking about Kid Cudi and the Porsche. Proved, not proved. Acts involving bribery. We're of course talking about Eddie Garcia, the Intercontinental video. He testified on the stand talking about $100,000, the cash machine going through and it being counted. Was this bribery not proved or proved? Acts involving witness tampering. Not proved, proved. Acts involving forced labor, not proved, proved. A lot of this is going to majority of the testimony that we heard throughout all of this. Mia potentially, getting working and not getting paid overtime, but the forced labor also goes to Cassie or Jane. Acts involving sex trafficking, once again going to Cassie and Jane. Was this not proved or proved? Acts involving transportation for purposes of prostitution, not proved, proved. Acts involving drug distribution. Now, if and only if you find the defendant guilty of count one, did the pattern of racketeering activity include sex trafficking of Cassandra Ventura? No or yes? This is the most important one at this time, everyone, because this is the one that the jury may be deadlocked on, cannot agree. After this, it reads, if and only if you find the defendant guilty of one count, did the pattern of racketeering activity include sex trafficking of Jane? No or yes? So, count one right there, heavy. There's a lot to break down, a lot of those predicate crimes, and this is the question mark, everyone watching. This is the one where the jurors are seemingly deadlocked at this time. Now on to count two. We're still in the deliberation forms, which by the way, the rest, there have been a verdict. Unclear what the verdict is. Count two is sex trafficking of Cassandra Ventura. How do you find the defendant? Not guilty or guilty? Pretty straightforward there. The same with count three, the Mann Act, transportation, Cassandra Ventura. How do you find the defendant? Not guilty or guilty? Count four. Now we're moving on to Jane. This is sex trafficking of Jane. How do you find the defendant? Not guilty, guilty? Count five. Mann Act, transportation, Jane. How do you find the defendant? Not guilty or guilty? And once again, all roads lead back to racketeering conspiracy, because not only is that the one that is perhaps the most difficult to understand, the most complicated, especially when we're going through all of those different predicate crimes, the ones that I just mentioned. We're talking kidnapping, arson, bribery, witness tampering, forced labor, sex trafficking, transportation for purposes of prostitution, and drug distribution. It's the most complicated and the one that people seem to not be able to agree on as far as the jury. I got to toss it back to our guests once again. Adante Pointer, what are you thinking now that I went through and read through each of those predicate crimes? Have your thoughts changed at all?
No, not at all. I think it just underscores and proves up what we've all been saying, which is that particular charge has so many subparts, so many different things that a jury would have to answer and agree on, that it's very easy for just a jury to not reach a unanimous decision that's convinced or that's supported by everyone agreeing about any one of those many different subparts. So it's not surprising. I think many of us saw that coming. Now, the other remaining charges, those are much more straightforward. And we heard and we saw that the jury, when they had questions, they sent those questions out about definitions and things. And the judge simply directed them back to those jury instructions. So I think that that's why you're going to see that there was a unanimous verdict on those other charges, but they weren't able to agree with one on the RICO Act because there's just so many subparts and it's hard to get many.
Thank you, Proud Mimi. Thank you for the $5 super sticker. Thank you so much for coming in. I guess you heard the news, huh? Let me go ahead and put this up. I guess you heard the news. Yes, they got a verdict on counts 2, 3, and 4, and 5. They cannot. They have not came back with a verdict on one. Count one. Count one is racketeering conspiracy, but at least we got a verdict on 4 of the counts: 2, 3, 4, and 5. So they're supposed to come back tomorrow and finish deliberating. So thank you so much for that. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Okay. Whew. I can't stay long, but wanted to see you smile. Thank you. You're right. That did put a smile on my face, and I appreciate everything you do. Thank you so much. All right. Stay as long as you can, and then if you do have to leave soon, have a wonderful night. We're going to be doing a watch party tomorrow here, just in case they come back with count number one. But we're going to be, because they're going to come back and deliberate on that last count one, which is racketeering conspiracy. But all the other four do carry a significant amount of time too. But racketeering, you can spend up to life in prison for that. Ooh, that would be a nice one. Okay, here we go.
Many people to agree on what you want to go for dinner or you want to eat for dinner, much less 9 different subparts to make up one charge.
I mean, we went through all of them. We've been talking about them here on Law&Crime for forever, since before a jury was even seated. And it's never really gotten easier, right? I mean, the more I talk about it, the more I personally understand it. But I also have a leg up on the jury. The fact that I can discuss it with my peers, and they've only had about 13 hours of deliberation, which, by the way, we have paused the verdict watch clock at 13 hours and 11 minutes because it seems overall we have overall we have a verdict. On the first one, I'm going to go back to you, Philip Dubé, about all of this because you so astutely broke down all of those predicate crimes. What are your thoughts now that I went back and read through all of them? That seems to be the one that's tripping people up. So what do you think the judge is going to do?
You, and I don't know if Adante agrees. I think the judge may have done the defense a favor. I truly believe that he gave them a mispronouncement or a misstatement of law. I do not believe that the jury has to find each predicate unanimously. So what he did, if I'm correct, and I may be wrong, Adante, chime in on this if I'm incorrect. I can handle it, believe me. My feelings won't be hurt. In other words, I think the judge expanded the burden of proof for the prosecution to prove each predicate beyond a reasonable doubt. That means all 12 jurors must unanimously agree and find beyond a reasonable doubt that he committed at least 2 or more of the predicates within a 10-year period. My reading of RICO, at least under the California version, is that all you really have to find beyond a reasonable doubt is that there was a pattern of enumerated crimes, but you don't have to be specific about the crime itself. So if that's the case and the jury is tripped up, good for Sean Diddy, because it sounds like this jury will never, ever reach a unanimous verdict, at least as to 2 or more of the predicates.
Okay, so I'm going to throw that to you, Adante, and ask if you agree with what Philip is saying about all of that. Judge Arun Subramanian says, okay, it needs to be unanimous as far as deciding on these predicate crimes. What are your thoughts about all of that?
Well, frankly, when I think about that, and when you were showing us the jury verdict form, I was in my mind, I'm thinking, look, you have this is one of the most high profile, if not the most high profile trial taking place right now. Those jury verdict forms are debated, they're reviewed, not only by the attorneys you see in the court, but by other attorneys who are assisting on the case back in the office, be it on the defense side or the prosecution side. And I've been in that situation, and everybody can still get it wrong in terms of the way it's enumerated and or the way the jury instructions are provided. My understanding is that they do need to come to a unanimous decision as relates to at least one of those subparts in order to support the RICO charge. But we're all going to find out, because no matter what happens here, best believe you're going to see this wind up in the appellate court.
Oh, I know that Diddy's team is definitely keeping an eye on everything as far as appeals if it doesn't go his way. I tend to agree with you exactly what you're saying, Adante, about all of this, that they definitely going to be ready with all of that. Now, we do have a viewer question asking, this is from Lee Now, who's asking, if it is guilty, will he still go to jail for counts 2 through 5, right? So Philip, about that, if he's guilty, and the first one, let's take the racketeering conspiracy and just, step it out for a minute. But if we're talking 2 through 5, let's say he's guilty, which by the way, we still have yet to know. He's guilty, he'll still go to jail for those, right?
Yes, of course. They're certainly not going to release him because he would stand convicted of those charges. And the only real question then is how much time he'll get. So no, he's not going to get released. But you can bet, depending on what the split is on count 1, if in fact a mistrial is declared, the prosecution will likely retry him, because if I'm not mistaken, I think it carries life. And they definitely want to get him on that top count if they can get a life sentence.
A lot to think about here. I again want to remind anyone who has just tuned in that we have reached a verdict. The jury has reached a verdict in counts 2 through 5, it's that number 1, the racketeering conspiracy, that is still the question mark at this time. Now, we do have some questions. Where's Jesse? Where's Elizabeth? And let me answer them both right now, because this is a really intense time. Elizabeth Milner is in the courthouse behind me. She is there in the courtroom so she can make sure to get the latest updates, be there to see how Diddy reacts to anything and everything like that. I promise you we'll have Elizabeth Milner on as soon as we can, but it's important for her to be in that courthouse. I'm going to continue to stay here live in the Southern District of New York to bring you the latest, but also we've got Jesse Weber, who will be live from the studio. We're going to be with you until we find out an answer for all of this. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, Jesse Weber will be here to bring.
So I don't think there's really any question.
What do you all, wait, let me just type this up. Okay. What do you all think of that? Okay. What do you all think of that? And let me, proud mommy, Mimi, thank you for coming in. We got a Taylor coming in. I wonder why they called you Pinkie. What does JK stands for? JK. What do that mean? They call me Pinkie because that's my nickname from my aunt, because I was a very small person. Not small person, but I was skinny, little, skinny and little. I'm still small today. Now, now answer my question. What do JK means? Write it out. Okay. Let me see. Listen, Diddy is guilty of something. Here's my reasoning. Okay. A jury can't say he's not guilty of charges 2 and 5, and then turn around and say that he's guilty of RICO is illogical. Okay. Just kidding. Oh, just kidding. JK means just kidding. Okay. Well, I already told you. Name from my aunt. Okay. Or a joke. Okay. I understand. So, out of the 5 federal charges, they're having problems with count 1, which is RICO. Not RICO, with racketeering conspiracy. Now, they found they're good with the other 4 charges, which is 2, 3, 4, and 5. They're good with the 2 counts. They're good with 4 of the counts. They're having a hard time with the top one, RICO, racketeering conspiracy. Okay. So tomorrow they should be getting back into the courtroom. They'll be back into the courtroom on tomorrow, which is Wednesday, to try to settle this thing. And as you all know, the judge wants them to come back. I read the time. Oh, gosh. I read y'all the timing. They want them to come back tomorrow. They will not be there on Thursday. The courthouse is closed on Thursday, and they will not be there on Friday because Friday is the 4th of July. So the courthouse is closed on Friday. They have to make a decision by tomorrow. If they do not make a decision on count 1, the racketeering conspiracy, that means they would have to come back on Monday morning. And Monday is the 7th. If they have to come back then, that's after the 4th of July. I don't think they want to come back then. Okay? I really don't think they want to come back on that date. But this was just a short live, just to let you all know what has happened. Because if you look at this chart, I remember when we first started jury selection. I thought this was going to be a long process, and he had said about 8 weeks. We're not into 8 weeks. No, we're not. Okay. I thought that was going to be a long, long process. Okay, I really did. But either he's going to be found guilty or not guilty, or something going to happen tomorrow. And I'm going to have a little party, a watch party for that. I'm not going to stay long tonight. That's all, because like I said, I've been to physical therapy and I am tired and I'm in pain. Okay. So all I want to do is take a shower and get into my bed. Y'all make sure you have your popcorn, your cake, you have some cake, your donuts, your potato chips, your Pringles, whatever you want. You can go get a sandwich from the deli, or you can make your own sandwich. Or you can go get some lasagna like I had. I had lasagna yesterday. Go get something and get ready. This was, you was in an accident. Yeah. Not an accident. No. I keep breaking things. Yeah. Climbing over fences. Not a regular kind of fence, the kind that you have your horses in. My husband asked me, why didn't I just go through it? Because some people got horses and some don't. But anyway, sorry to hear that. Get well soon. Okay, thank you. But we're going to be going. We'll be back here tomorrow. This is only 53 minutes into this live, but y'all get ready for tomorrow. Let me just make sure there's nobody else got anything that's going on about this trial before we leave. Let me just make sure, because I don't want to miss anything. Y'all know I don't want to miss nothing. Let me see. Oh, Lord. Let me see. Ooh, CNN. We was doing CNN. We was doing CNN all morning. Okay. I'm not doing that. We've been working on them all morning. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I'm trying to see, but I'm not doing all of that. What did he say? Jury dukes it out over the racketeering charges. This is Law&Crime Network. Y'all know I love them. I'm not getting into that. Let me see what CNN talking about right quick. It's night there and it's dark in New York. Jury reached partial verdict in Sean Diddy Combs. I want to hear what they got to say. Then we're leaving. This is only 10 minutes, guys. I want to hear what they got to say. And then after this, we got to get out of here. Because y'all know I love hearing. This is CNN here, guys. Because the other one talking about they duked it out. Oh, Lord, did they really duke it out? Let's see.
We have a verdict. We have a verdict from the jury. In the Sean Diddy Combs trial, we're told they sent a note just a few moments ago that the jury has reached a verdict on counts 2, 3, 4, and 5. They are unable to reach a verdict on count 1 as we have jurors with unpersuadable opinions on both sides. Now, to break that down, count 1 is RICO, the most complex charge here that could come with up to life in prison. The remaining charges include 2 counts of sex trafficking, 1 for each victim, Cassie Ventura and a pseudonym named Jane, and the last 2 in terms of translation into the form of prostitution. So we now know that on the RICO charge, it appears that the jury presently is hung. We do not yet know what the verdict is in the remaining counts, but suffice to say, over the last 7 weeks, the prosecution has been trying to persuade a jury of now 12 people with the alternates out that Sean Diddy Combs should serve the rest of his life in prison based on 5 felony counts. Now, the jurors are not to consider in any way, shape, or form the potential sentence, but this is huge. We are now the second day of deliberations. It has been a little more than, 10, 12 hours of deliberation, including notes, lunch breaks, and an overnight deliberative process. And here we have right now all these notes in between. We are waiting for the verdict, but also the judge to make a decision on count 1 and whether they should continue to deliberate, given called with the Allen charge, meaning go back and deliberate until you are most assuredly and precisely and finally hung. But according to these jurors, count 1, the RICO charge appears to be the one where they do not have unanimity among the 12.
Yeah, Laura, let me, thank you so much. This is huge breaking news here that this verdict is beginning to come in. And of course, I say beginning because as you've outlined, the major charge 1, you say they are essentially hung. Can you explain a little bit more about, just for those of us who don't do what you do every single day? I'm familiar with a hung jury, but you seem to be saying that the judge has some options here and that this may not be the end of the story. Can you just explain that a little more precisely?
Of course, when you have a federal jury or you have a jury, you want to have a unanimous opinion and decision about guilty or not guilty. And we do not yet know what that is. But jurors can sometimes say, we've reached an impasse. We haven't made up our minds. We are essentially stalled on this particular charge. And the judge may say, have you done all that you can to ensure that you have considered all the elements, that you've weighed all of the considerations, that everyone has reached their final conclusion? At that point, what's called an Allen charge, the jury might say, you know what, Your Honor, we haven't actually thought of that. We can give it one more try. Or they might very well say, Your Honor, we're coming to you about the rest of them because this is the one that we are hopelessly deadlocked on. No additional time is necessary or will yield any alternate conclusion of unanimity or a decision. So now the judge has to deal with that. If that's the case, if this jury says that we are officially hung on one charge and we have a verdict on the rest, well, the prosecution, who has the burden of proof and will always have a burden of proof in a trial, as they should, will have a discussion among themselves. Do they insist that they go back again and deliberate, or do they learn the verdict on the rest of the remaining charges? Right now, we do not know, but we're told from Kara Scannell, who has been inside of this courtroom, that the tension is thick, that the lawyers were surrounding Sean Diddy Combs, that he had his hands clasped in his lap. Remember, his family has been here, his mother here today. Just earlier today, Kara even overheard Sean Diddy Combs saying to his mother, just relax, it's going to be all right. Well, now we're waiting to see what that verdict will be and whether the judge will have the jurors go back and try to deliberate further on that charge. I want to bring in, I see Elizabeth Wagmeister who's here, and we have, of course, been covering this trial, and this is stunning to think that there is now some semblance of a verdict. I was telling Casey, we don't know about count one. That's the most serious one.
It is the most serious one, and I have an update for you from our colleagues inside the courtroom right now, Laura. So, Casey, I want to update you live right now. Both sides want the judge to push the jury to continue deliberating. Combs' defense attorney, Mark Agnifilo, said that the defense would like the judge to bring out the jury, to instruct them to continue deliberating rather than to send them a note. Both sides agree that they would like this instruction. They want the jury to continue deliberating. So, as Laura said, this is up to the judge's discretion. Does he say continue and reach a verdict on count one, or, okay, we can be hung on this, but both sides have the same agreement that they want them to continue.
Yeah, no, really interesting. So, Laura and Elizabeth, please weigh in here as well. But Laura, can you kind of run down, if we have verdicts in the other counts, how do you compare the potential implications of a sentence in those counts compared to count one? Like, how much more serious or significant is count one compared to the other charges?
Great question. Count one is by far the most serious. RICO carries up to life in prison with sometimes mandatory minimums. It's a very serious charge. Now, the verdict form required this jury to find either guilty or not guilty on that high charge. And if they found that, they had to go down the line for so-called predicate crimes. That's a fancy way of saying, well, did the government prove or not prove bribery, kidnapping, arson? The idea of this went down the line of other things, including drug distribution and even prostitution. Then there was a second part that talked about, did you conclude that there was sex trafficking proven with respect to Cassie or Jane? Now, why that's important here is because for each of those different types of crimes, the jury was asked whether the government had proven or not proven their case. Now, you see some overlaps here, right? Because you've got a RICO charge, you've got 2 sex trafficking charges, and 2 prostitution-related charges. And so if the jurors have made a decision with respect to any of those predicate crimes that were already listed, and they might very well have known what they wanted to do in the other charges as well. But make no mistake about it, the most complex case, Elizabeth, has been the RICO charge. It required them to prove that there was an enterprise of people around him that engaged in these type of crimes within a 10-year period and established a pattern.
Well, and Elizabeth, you obviously updated us on that reporting that both Sean Diddy Combs' defense team as well as prosecutors want the judge to tell the jury, go back, try again, figure this out. Do you have an understanding about why it is that the Combs side in particular would really want that to happen?
You know, we don't know, but I would imagine that they could be thinking, and I would want to hear Laura's thoughts here as a former prosecutor. A school of thought is typically that the quicker that a verdict is reached, that the better it could be for the defense. So perhaps that they think that things are going their way. They want them to keep going. But I actually want to go back to the question that you asked Laura before this about which charge is the most serious. And as Laura spelled out, it is absolutely that first charge of racketeering conspiracy because it holds a maximum sentence of life in prison. But these other charges are still incredibly serious. Counts 2 and counts 3, which are sex trafficking of Cassie Ventura and sex trafficking of the woman who testified under the pseudonym Jane. Those are 2 separate counts. The judge instructed the jury to deliberate separately on them. Each of those carries a minimum sentence of 15 years. So these are all incredibly serious charges here. The final 2, counts 4 and 5, transportation to engage in prostitution, each carry a maximum of 10 years.
And the idea of the defense wanting to possibly have this is about finality. You know, listen, they know that there is double jeopardy that could attach the second, essentially, this trial began. But they also want to, meaning it could not be tried twice for the same matter. And yet they still want finality. They want unanimity and they want finality. They do not want to figure out whether the prosecution, if it's a hung jury, wants to go back and try to retry this case. Can you imagine 34 witnesses, 7 weeks, overwhelmingly focused on the charge of RICO? If it's a hung jury, that is the option of the prosecution to go back and try the case again without a double jury being implicated, double jeopardy being implicated, excuse me.
All right, let's reset for a second. We're also joined now by Ellie Honig, our legal analyst here. And of course, Laura and Elizabeth are going to stick with us through now our continuing breaking coverage, because the jury in the Sean Diddy Combs trial has reached a verdict on some counts. The jury just sending a note saying that they reached a verdict on counts 2, 3, 4, and 5, but that they are unable to reach a verdict on count 1, racketeering conspiracy. We do know that both sides want the judge to push the jury to continue deliberating. Mark Agnifilo, the defense counsel, said that they want the judge to bring out the jury and to instruct them on deliberating. And both parties are going to work on the wording of that instruction. And just to remind you, there are 5 counts here against Sean Diddy Combs. 1 on that racketeering charge, RICO. 2 each of sex trafficking, and 2 of transportation to engage in prostitution. As our Laura Coates just noted, the most serious of these is the one that the jury still has not reached a unanimous decision on. That is the racketeering charge that carries potentially up until life in prison.
That's why I hate muting myself. I'm glad you told me no, Sam, but Nikki put a 2 in there letting me know. I'm sorry about that. Can't hear you. Okay. But anyway, like I said, tomorrow we will be doing this again. I came live this morning and everything. So, and I'm always here for anytime more news breaks out. I'll be here to bring it to you. So I will be here tomorrow morning. We're going to do a watch party, see what's happening going on. Bring your coffee, bring your tea, lemon water like I do. I bring hot lemon water, fresh cut lemons. all boiled together. And so I'm going to have all that. Bring everything. Bring your banana if you don't have nothing else. Bring you something. You can go to the deli and have them to fix you up something. Or you can have your husband to fix you up something to eat. Because I know I'm going to be eating. I'm going to have everything sitting here on this big long desk, ready to eat, ready to chow down in the midst of everything. So y'all get ready, okay? And bring your box of Kleenex. Be like me. I got my box of Kleenex right here. See here? I got my box of Kleenex. See that box of Kleenex right there? I have one. I always keep one. Y'all have your Kleenex right there waiting, just in case you be happy that it goes down the way we want it to go. You be sad if it don't go the way you want it to go. It's, you know, just whatever. All right. Come comfortable so you can sit for a while. Okay. Even if you like Diddy, even if you don't like Diddy, if you don't like Diddy, just come and hope he gets what you want him to get. Get sentenced. Be here just for that. Okay? And if you like Diddy, you like Diddy. You know, everybody got their own opinion. But we're going to go ahead and be getting out of here, guys. This is my little widget I'm working on. We're going to go ahead and be getting out of here. Okay? Think of the housewife. Hey. Thank you. Carlton, did you change your avatar up again? You can't be doing that with me. Because I don't be knowing. Stick with one avatar for me. You do it with everybody else. You can change it up, but stick with one so I know that's you. Okay? Don't you want me to recognize who you are? I tell you. Okay, but do what you want to do, Carlton. Okay? But I'm glad you're here. Just make sure you got what you need for tomorrow. So y'all don't have to be getting up, going to get nothing. Okay? Who knows? I may even find some good music. So if it go off the way it goes off, everybody made to get their fan, and we do a dance to that. We do that there. Okay. I may even wear some cowboy boots for this. I got a cowboy t-shirt I just got the other day. I may even wear that. It's a t-shirt with a cowboy on it. I'm not saying it's a cowgirl on it because I don't want no girl on my shirt. Okay, so I say cowboy. I'm not going to be walking around with a cowgirl on my shirt. Okay? But anyway, we're going to go ahead and go, guys. We hadn't had it. I hadn't had it up to here with everything. So we're going to go ahead and go. And we're going to take it easy. And y'all be back tomorrow. Don't be running late now because you may miss something. If you miss it, I can't go back and bring that the first moment when we heard the news. I can't go back and reiterate that. So y'all better be here, be on time, even if you're at work. Y'all know how to do it. Okay? And we're going to go ahead and get on out of here. Y'all know how we do it. But let me just say thank you once again for my super sticker. All right? Thank you, Proud Mimi, for my super sticker. $5 super sticker. I love it. I appreciate it. I really do. Okay, so now y'all know what we're getting ready to do. We're getting ready to get out of here. Okay? We're going to go out. What do you say? He ain't going back to jail.
Going back to jail. I'm not going back to jail. I'm home. Will you please come home?